It's sort of very hard to pinpoint, exactly what it was. I think it was the script in its entirety. When you read a script, you fall in love with it as a whole, and certainly the part of Henry, I knew I could lend myself to it immediately. He's British, sort of an Englishman in New York, as it were, and I knew I could lend my talents and my abilities to bringing him to life immediately. It's very hard to put your finger on it. It's most of the things that I've got to do as an actor, I've read the script and said immediately, all right, I want to do this, I need to do this, I have to do this. And when you have that feeling when you read something, more often than not, you do get the role because you have such an affinity with the part. There are scripts that you read and oh my God, I'd love to do this, but I'm never going to be seen as this character. But this was one certainly that I read and went, I know I can do this, I have to do this. Yeah. Well, there's so many elements. I think the fact that he's got this sort of quirky, almost sort of pompous sort of confidence in his abilities and his powers of deduction, I think his cadence as a character is a lot of fun to play, especially when he's being sort of quick-witted and so smart, and he's almost sort of looking down his nose at some of the other characters. And then conversely, you have the wonderful romantic side of the guy when he goes back in time, and we see him with Abigail, and we see how tortured he is being an immortal, living in the present day, having loved and lost so many times in his life. I'm sure, me personally, I wouldn't know where to begin with the mythology. I mean, that's why I'm not a writer, I'm an actor. I mean, that's why Matt and his team, I have so much admiration for them, because I don't know how they come up with these ideas week in, week out, and try to weave that into not just an episode, a standalone episode, but this serialization element that we have running throughout. I hope we don't find out about that for a long, long time, which will suggest that we would run for a while, I hope.
8 seasons at least.
Yes, cross fingers, yeah. But I think if the moment we discover what that is, might be the conclusion of the entire show. I mean, New York itself is a character in and of itself in the show. Certainly when we shot the pilot, it's clear that we're shooting in Grand Central Station itself, which was extraordinary, and shooting in a different time period there as well. When we see Abe's Antiques, that is a New York street corner. The set is an actual corner front that we've turned into our set. So there's an incredible energy and vibrancy that New York has, which is what we all love about the city. And the period costume stuff, I just love it. I mean, there's something about putting on that stuff, all those fantastic clothes, and stepping back in time, and because it's a television show, we don't get to necessarily to see the scope of that period, because it's very hard to create that. But even these little corners that we build to made to look like 1910 tenement sort of housing in New York, it's pretty impressive. You just have to give a little element of it, and people are bought into that sort of conceit. Every week that we sort of give answers or give sort of indications to where and who Henry is, it poses new questions again. I mean, just while I'm talking to you now, I'm thinking, well, if this show runs for 5 years, I'm going to look 5 years older, if I'm not careful. And Joe's, does Henry do we have to do something like Henry's pretending that he's putting prosthetics on to make himself look older to convince Joe and people around him, or does he take off and disappear for a while there? Which is what he's done throughout his career, I guess, or his life is run and hide. The moment that he gets too close to somebody, he runs away. But I think Joe's character is going to help him remain in the here and now and try to face his demons up to a point, yeah.